I got something to confess to you. Before I used to embark on the work, I used to think about how much work the work was going to be, right? I used to think about that I can't do that. I don't have time for it. I'm already in so much chronic pain. There's already so much I'm dealing with in my life. And I remember, I think it was like 5 years ago, there were these lovely gals all over YouTube. And I just started getting into YouTube back then. And they were talking about having to eat healthy and completely changing everything. Clearly, I wasn't ready then. I was like, and I'm been a vegetarian since I'm 20. But even then I was like, oh yeah, no girl, that's too much. No one eats like that. I think if I keep thinking about how did I not know, I would hear people talk about heavy metals and I would hear people talk about things being bad for you or the stuff that's in our food. But later finding out, because I am neurodivergent and I resonate with the autism and ADHD. I think because I'm a literal person, I would be like, well, the FDA wouldn't be able to do that, or it doesn't make sense, or why would they put stuff in our food? And I didn't really understand capitalism. And this wasn't just 5 years ago. This was years and years and years ago, right? And I grew up in California and now I live in Italy. So then I moved to Italy, and the chatter about what we put in our food, all of this, all the chemicals. I remember reading labels, never understanding things, but I was like, oh, that's just stuff I don't understand. It never occurred to me that that stuff was bad for me. Now that I'm here with 5 autoimmunes, 34 surgeries later, I have chronic pain. I could go on and on and on. I now understand what all of those things did to me personally. I'm not saying they're doing it to you and anybody else. I'm just hyper sensitive, always have been. And so I'm affected by all of this. I can't even afford to take one day off to like splurge on junk food or something, because it affects my health, my chronic pain, my inflammation so much that I literally, when I say I've had to change everything, I've had to change everything, from the way I think, from the way I eat, from the way I dress, from the way I use products, but I didn't do it overnight. I've been doing it for years and years and years over time, right? So what I'm saying to you is, do we ever give ourselves the opportunity to change? Because it all seems overwhelming that it never occurs to us, just take it day by day, let's do it in this moment. So many times I avoided all of it because I wasn't doing subtle changes to get profound impacts. I was doing profound changes and then I would just get subtle. I was doing profound changes and I got subtle impacts, meaning that I was doing the bare minimum, if I'm really being honest. If we're really going to be honest and we're going to live an honest life and we're going to do the right thing. I'll be 55 this month in April coming up. And if I'm honest, it took me until I was 50 to get here. So those of you who are gaslighting yourself, who are being so unkind to yourself, who are thinking that there's no out for you, I'm here to tell you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to keep following the dim light until you get to the bright light. I'm not even completely out there, but listen, I've been a vegetarian since I'm 20 years old. Then I would go on and off sometimes with meat, but the other stuff, no. Then I've been vegan for about the last 4 years. I am refined sugar free. I haven't been drinking alcohol since 2021. I'm gluten free. That was the big one for me. That changed a lot of my chronic pain. And just so you know, I took every allergy test known to man, and it never said I was sensitive to gluten or to dairy, but I kept listening to other people, not to myself. I'm not saying don't listen to your caretakers, your doctors, or all of that, meaning they don't know my body. They aren't inside me. They don't know how I feel. And when they would tell me that that's crazy and to keep eating it, and then I kept eating it, but then I kept suffering, it took me to show up for me, to listen to my body, to claim my power back for me, my health, for where it is I want to go, for what it is I want to accomplish. So if you are at all right now in a situation or a crisis where you have chronic pain, or there's a situation where you feel powerless, it doesn't just have to be pain. It could be eating disorders. It could be job situation. It could be everything. It is so important for us to remember that we gaslight ourselves so bad about why we can't do all of these things, right? And oh no, because I need money for this and that. And that's a fact. That is a total fact. But what I'm saying is, when my stuff, me personally, got so bad, I had to change everything. I didn't have a choice, and I had to be forced into it. What I'm saying to you is, if you do subtle changes to get profound impacts, you won't be thrusted, literally thrown into it. You can just see how you feel along the way. So we go 50 steps forward, 5 steps back, 500 steps forward, 2 steps back. You start to just introduce it, what it looks like for you. Lean into these things, but please don't lose hope. Please don't lose hope that there's nothing you can do. Just start researching yourself, listening to yourself. I'm not saying diagnose yourself with a bunch of stuff, but I am saying you know your body better than anyone. You know your habits better than anyone. I remember I kept saying to my therapist, I was like, you know what? I'm going to comb out my hair because it is bugging me while we're talking. I used to say, no, I'm trying to lose weight, blah, 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 because, for my chronic pain, everyone was always on me about the weight, right? So I was like, I'm trying to lose weight. You don't understand. He goes, well, it doesn't make sense for what you're telling me, and numbers in, numbers out. There's no way. So we went through everything that I was eating, and it turns out I didn't realize a lot of the gluten-free products I was eating was filled with sugar. And so I stopped those, right? And so it's more so as, yeah, it can be annoying, but we got to do it. We got to show up for ourselves. We got to read labels. We got to start looking into things. Everyone's like, oh, I don't have time for it. But do you have time to be sick? Do you have time to lay in bed and be sick? Because that's what happens. And I used to like to think that I took care of myself pretty well. I mean, Taco Bell was my best friend, but I always worked out. I always tried to watch what I eat. I wasn't perfect, but it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years ago that I didn't realize that clean eating was different than healthy eating. Just like I didn't realize that clean makeup is different than vegan makeup. So again, I'm not gaslighting myself. I'm not being mean to myself. I'm showing up for myself. I'm teaching myself. I'm reparenting myself. I'm proud parenting myself. But most of all, I'm showing up for myself. So if you feel that you're in this moment where you want to start showing up for you, but you don't know how, I'm just saying start somewhere. Just even if it's like, you want to go on a diet or whatever, don't go on a diet. Just take dairy out of your diet and try that for 30 days. See what happens. See how your body shifts. Or take gluten out of your diet. Or just go step by step by step. Start leaning into it. That is what I got for you. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions at all, or you are at all interested in a private reading, you could click the link in the bio. Ciao for now.